What's up, social media family? It's your boy, Chris, your favorite coach, your favorite host, your favorite speaker, whatever. If you don't have a favorite, let me volunteer. I'll be your favorite. It's okay. But we have an episode of Conversations with Chris today. I have no rhyme or reason to when I do things. I just meet cool people. And this time I met somebody very cool when I was in California. I'm just back from the Reimagine conference, and it was a great time. And we are talking with the fearless and unapologetic Courtney Poulos, broker owner of ACME Real Estate. So she's not only a broker owner, she's a nationally recognized speaker, author of Break Up With Your Rental, and the leader who's redefining boutique real estate from LA to Florida. Yay! We can't hear anybody clapping, but here we are. Courtney.
Great intro, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. But I wanted to make sure I did it right because you do have that you have that TV background too. I mean, being from LA, everybody's kind of in TV or movies somehow, right?
It's true. I'd say a solid half of the real estate agents in Los Angeles have probably been actors before. There used to be whole brokerages, like Hilton Highland used to just look like all actors that you used to see on TV. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a whole thing.
That's cool. You know, it's and I think you're on your way to Florida here soon. You're kind of got one foot in the door, and we want to talk to you about that. First, tell us what's redefining real estate mean to you, and how do you put that practice into ACME?
You know, I always say I'm like a horrible employee. I've always been like a person who thinks outside the box, who wants to change things. And real estate right now is really keeping me on my toes. When I started ACME, I started it as a protest brand. It's like a rebel brand. That's why it's called ACME. It's like we're putting our clients first. We're putting our clients' branding first. We're putting the client experience first ahead of brokerage branding. So if you imagine when you create a brokerage, every agent's sign in the yard is like a little billboard for the brokerage, right? A lot of corporate brokerages who I have worked for before, they focus on shareholders and metrics and recruitment and retention. And it's just this very intense, very masculine thing. So my brand philosophy was to create a small cadre of highly trained agents who focus on the consumer experience. So in working with renovation resale artists, that's what we call flippers, who have an elevated design taste, who care more about the creating really beautiful homes, not just like lipstick on a pig type stuff. That's what was going down before. Still goes down.
Very common. Yep.
Yeah. So some of them were branded, so we would put the branding of the renovation client on the sign and put our information in little font, But over the years, people have come to know us and associate us with high quality renovation sellers. And we've built a brand on that. And in addition, even though we've grown, we grow really organically. So, this world of real estate is changing. Like every day there's this huge news, I feel like the boutique experience is on the line, and we need to kind of organize ourselves to prepare for what the future holds. So redefining continues to change. What does it look like? So it used to look like higher quality branding, spending thousands more on the marketing, delivering a tactile experience, creating a back end, like we have in-house design. Our agents are trained on every detail of the contract, and I know that sounds like it should be like the standard, but it's actually not. And
we know what's out there.
I mean, it's just there's just you put in the headline here, training conviction, and that's been the core of my business, which is making sure it starts with training. We train on code of ethics on day one. Even if you're an experienced agent, when you walk through our door, we're like, here's how we're gonna be professionals and experts in this industry, so that nobody ever feels like they might about a bigger brokerage, where it's like you never know who you're going to get. They have experts, they have rookies. For us, even if some agents don't have to sell a lot to achieve their quality of life, they all understand in detail the ramifications of every clause in that contract, and the psychology of buying and selling, what they need to do to support renovation artists and investors. Like there's just a core bit of information and education that we make sure every agent at ACME has. And that's been very distinctive for us, because we don't run on on numbers like how many heads are at our firm.
Not the quantity model, the quality model.
That's the thing. Yeah, that part. I say it's like when you go to Paris and you buy your baguette every morning from the bakery and they make it there and you know it's quality because that's what they specialize in. It's not like going to Walmart and getting bread at that bakery that, is loaded with preservatives, been sitting on the shelf for a while. Like for us, it's like fresh bread daily from the bread specialists.
You've seen a lot. So you have 30 agents, 35 agents, something like that. You
35
said
agents here in LA, and we have like 10 in Florida, but we're about to be in expansion mode. We just got a beautiful new building, which my partner, Heather Unger, who's the broker on the ground in Orlando, she has been diligently working to complete. The exterior just got painted. It's super beautiful in this really exciting part of town. And we are about to go into expansion mode in Florida because we believe that what it is that we're doing will work there as well. Yeah. It is a different approach. People say redefining real estate all the time. I swear I see that as so many different people's like taglines, but it's like, what are you really doing differently? It all kind of looks the same to me. So right now, when agents are fighting for their reputation, we are fighting for our value in a way that I have never experienced before. On stage, when we were at Reimagine, I said, it's crazy. Like if you walk into a doctor's office, you don't say to the doctor, okay, why am I paying you so much? What exactly is it that you do? I want you to, put all your hours down and justify your value to me.
Yeah.
How is it? Who is creating this PR campaign against the value of agents? Every agent I know works sometimes years before they get paid. And if you put it on a per hour basis, like I'm talking about for one client, you might have a client who maybe looks for a year before they buy anything. If you put that down on paper and put it into like an hourly thing, we might be getting $10 an hour. It doesn't matter. The point is where our real value is in experience, in problem solving, in innovative marketing, in thinking outside the box, in 20 years of experience. You're getting my 20 years of experience when you work with me, and that's value. So that's why we don't do that to doctors. Cause they have a thing on the wall and they've had 20 years of experience of doing boob jobs or whatever. You don't undervalue them the same way. I honestly wonder, and I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but when you see trends in the market, you're like, okay, why is this narrative coming out? Why is nobody pushing back against this? Maybe there are some investors with some fintech products that they think they can use to replace us. So if we don't, as a group, collectively communicate better the real value, the wisdom, the emotional intelligence that we offer, then somebody might be able to say, look, we'll give you a 1% discount. Just use this AI to write your contract. I'm right now in a deal with some buyers who I swear every email is written with AI.
Yeah.
And they're representing themselves. And it's very difficult. I know they're not getting guidance. It's really challenging. It's really challenging.
There's a lot going on, it's and it's funny you say about doctors because it's what is exciting, I talked to my dad earlier. He's like, I'm in the waiting room at the doctor. And I was like, imagine if my industry had waiting rooms, or imagine you went somewhere and they asked you to fill out the same form over and over again. I mean, that'd be astronomical. Even my accountant, that's not going to be my accountant after this year. I like switch every year.
Me too.
They send me a paper form to fill out. And I say, hey, do you have something that's a form filler? Because we're in 2025 here. I said, don't worry, I'll build it. So I created my own form and sent it back to them. So I don't know, take those numbers and put them into another form anyway. But I'm with you. Look, a skilled real estate person does so much more than just match a buyer with a seller.
Yeah.
There's so much involved there. And I mean, I just got it. Somebody just called me that their neighbor is getting brand new licensee, and they have a friend that wants to sell a house in Daytona, which is not in their area. And I said, refer it to a top agent over there. And she said, I don't want to give up all that. I don't want to give up all that money. I say, you're not giving up the money. You're winning over a fan and learning how to do some stuff. And it's just kind of like, there's a lot of small thinking that happens in our industry and that permeates to the public. And that creates how they think about us, right?
These lawsuits, like I was really looking to NAR to launch a PR campaign when these lawsuits last year, or the year before even
I
started
know.
coming out. And I'm like, there are contracts. These contracts were
Mhm.
written by attorneys. How were they ever able to convince this jury that something has gone wrong? And I'm like, I actually heard this New York Times writer who I previously had respect for come out on Morning Joe and say that our commission, and then they always use 6% when it's really variable everywhere. So even that part I call BS on. But he's like, it's a tax on Americans. And I'm like, what if we called your job a tax on Americans? This is unacceptable. Like this narrative that they were pumping out. And the press continues. I don't know about you, Chris, but I have lost all faith in the press after the real
I don't watch
estate.
the news. I never know what happens, and I ask silly questions, and people are like, you don't know what's going on, and I'm like, no. Well, do you live in a bubble? Yeah. I like my bubble. I won't know that there's a comet about to hit the Earth. I'll be out on a boat somewhere, and I'll be like, "That's a beautiful star." I won't know, man. I'll be cheersing a margarita to the comet, and I won't know. But
I mean,
I'm not.
you gotta get through your day somehow, Chris. I don't know, but dancing around on stages and flying in planes from coast to coast, doing conferences and speaking gigs and all that kind of stuff, then I guess maybe you don't know about that comment. I only recently saw it was James Wiggins actually. I reimagine. He's like, did you see? There's this like maybe this comment that could potentially hit the Earth, and then there's also this. I don't know if he said it was going to hit the Earth. When I googled it, I was like, it said it's going to miss by like 17 million miles, but you never know what's going on out there anyway. And then like the hellfire hit some unidentified flying object and kind of bounced off it. People are flipping out. I'm like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to know. We can't know everything. I'm going to focus on real estate right
There's just
now.
like whizzing by us. I know, like all the time, and my daughter said something about I'm like, there's stuff whizzing by us all the time, like it's just stuff hitting the Earth that we just like doesn't do anything to
Well,
us.
it's like the Venn diagram. It's like, here's what you can control,
Perfect.
Control.
Exactly.
Uh,
So we're talking. I mean, you mentioned you're kind of from LA to Florida, and what's the through line between LA and Florida markets that excites you most right now?
Well, Florida during COVID. Okay, so I'm just going to say
That's how I got stuck down here.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right now. Like when I hear people using the F word lately, I'm like, I was in California during COVID, and let me tell you, it was brutal. It was brutal. We had the longest COVID masking policies for kids. We had the QR code mandate where you couldn't go anywhere unless you showed the QR code that you got vaccinated. There was a lot of social pressure. People were pressuring me to make my company become like an advocate for people's private medical choices. I'm not doing that. And so I just felt during COVID like I wanted to be in a place where my son could go to school in person because the online LAUSD situation was a nightmare.
Yeah.
So that's when I went to Orlando. My partner's from Orlando. So I met Heather and we started talking about where we had complementary strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was a match made in heaven. She's so like-minded, and boutique ownership is different. It's not the same as a team lead. The founding mindset, and this is another thing where maybe what I'm saying is controversial. I don't know. But I see a lot of team leads at brokerages calling themselves founders, like you're a founder of your team. But founding a company is a whole different experience. Everything on the ground that you have to do to learn the ins and outs of running a business, owning a business in a particular city, errors and omissions insurance, budgets, accountability, like liability, the different types of protection that you need, and even recruitment, of course, becoming profitable, running. It's a whole different ball of wax.
Mm-hmm.
And having a community with Heather, really like that was exciting because I felt like maybe I'm not on my own anymore. Here's another person who started something from scratch and understands what it takes to do that. And so, Orlando had and a lot of cities in Florida, as we all know, had a big influx of people from New York and California that had slightly more coastal modern sensibility, maybe, or like there's a California kind of design sensibility and maybe expected a little bit more design from from their housing choices. So plus, I feel like nobody was doing what we were doing as far as our marketing in Florida. It's just coming along right now. I'd say there's more happening now than there was even 5 years ago. So now you see some agents, like Heather's done a great job with video, but all of our ACME marketing, like our magazine brochures that we do for our listings, our global PR network that we use for our listings, there's a lot of foreign investors there. So our listings are getting more exposure, and we're introducing sellers to an option of higher level of service than just MLS entry, sending a rookie to an open house and putting an MLS printout on the desk. So that's where we are distinctive. Like, it's just a different, more elevated approach to the marketing, and it works.
It seems like as a leader, you've really kind of some people want to open brokerages, and they just want to open brokerages because they want to be in charge. They want to keep their own money, all these different things. But it seems like you've really stepped up to being a leader. And I mean, you said that your superpower is training conviction.
Yeah. Training on conviction.
What's that look like when you're coaching agents who may doubt themselves?
Mm-hmm. Well, conviction comes from believing what you're saying, right? So what I've learned, in this kind of a combination of that acting training that you were talking about, Chris, because when I was an actor, you could become very self-aware. So you start to hear your tonality when you go high and low, or like your physicality. What are you presenting? What is your gait? Like, how do you physically stand in an open house? Where do you make mistakes in engagement and connection because of some latent or unrecognized fear that you have of rejection? I'll give you an example. One of our trainings is on just open houses, right? Mm-hmm. Open houses are interesting. A lot of buyers walk in, they don't really want to talk to an agent, right? They don't really want to talk to you. And what that does, that fear of rejection and that energetic exchange right there at the beginning, makes some rookie agents particularly feel like they're imposing on them if they try to engage. And then what you do is you raise your voice up an octave, and you become the receptionist at the juice bar at Crunch Fitness. Okay. So it sounds like the difference between going, "Hi, I'm Courtney. I've got the sign-in sheet here. Like, I'm so nice. And please, I'm not threatening, engage with me." Yeah. That's not how buyers choose agents. I don't want, when I'm buying real estate, a nice agent. I want an agent who knows her shit or his shit. I want an agent who's going to go in there and fight for me. I want an agent who can read that contract forward and backwards, know all the holes, and play on the other agent's lack of knowledge of that contract. I want somebody who is kind and friendly, but really a pit bull. You know what I'm saying? Sure. And so that is a different tone. That is, I see that you're walking in and you don't want to talk to me. And now I'm going to talk to you anyway, because I got something of value that you don't know you need to know. And I'm going to share that with you. Hi, I'm Courtney. I've got a sign-in sheet here, and let's chat after you tour the place, and then we can talk. Okay, where have you guys had hurdles so far? Are you already pre-qualified? Do you know about the lending programs? Why don't we set up an appointment after this meeting? And I'll get you guys up to speed on what's going on, because this is the NFL of real estate out here. You have got to know how to play to win, or you're going to, the game may make a fool out of you, and you don't want to be in that position. You need a leader, and I'm your girl. So let's hop on a call. There's, and even in the tone that I'm talking with you right now, there is a kind of a strength, and I know it's my natural state, but not that I'm creating, every agent has their own unique qualities and strengths. Some of our agents are comedians. They're freaking hilarious. And I mean legit comedians. Like, they're really, really funny and have professionally done comedy. So there are people, we have Emmy award-winning television producers as agents, Reality Girl. We have people who came from other industries, like animation. For example, worked as an animator, came into the business, commercial television production. So a lot of our agents have been successful running their own businesses somewhere else. It's another reason why I love what we've created, because it's like a cadre of like lone wolves, CEOs of their own businesses who approach real estate that way. So I'm saying this is what we train on, is how to overcome some of those things you might not be self-aware about until you do the open house training with me. And now we call you out on that. We train on how to handle a room full of people. Chris, I could tell you a million stories about weird neighbors who come into my open houses. I had this one time where the guy next door used to be an inspector for the city. And he came into my open house with his like wife and some other neighbors. And he walked around my open house while there were 30 people in the open house, pointing things out. Is this hardwired? This fire alarm needs to be hardwired. Oh, this is against code. He starts opening underneath. I said, excuse me, sir. This is my open house. Okay. So you're going to have to leave. We're not doing an inspection right now. This is public. I'm like, it's kind of not. This is not your house. You're here by invitation. And I'm now asking you to leave. And then he tried to take a flyer on the way out. I was like, no, that is not for you. And I don't mess around. I do not mess around. So I also train agents on how to own the open house. Like, this is your safety is priority. You want to make sure every person who walks through signs in. Like that is something that is so undervalued. People walking, I don't feel like signing in. I'm sorry. Then I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Not only because it's courtesy, but now the way the contracts are, we need an accounting for every single person that walks through that door. That's just the way it is. I would love to have you here, but if you're not willing to announce yourself and introduce yourself, then I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to go.
In New York, we had, I don't know if you guys have in California, but in New York, we had these things called agency disclosures where we had to disclose who we're representing. And in an open house, they were finding people that weren't disclosing, because most agents in New York were representing the seller. There's a seller's agent, a buyer's agent, or a broker's agent, which is you're representing the seller through another broker. But it's crazy. I know it's weird. But signing into the open house became the way to get people to acknowledge that. You had that little disclaimer saying, hey, which was a way to protect yourself. So it was no longer kind of an option to have people sign in. And I think with the technology nowadays, you can have people register for your open houses ahead of time and they're virtually signed in, come in, they're on the guest list,
We don't do a ton of that right now. If it was up to me, we'd have people have to, provide their driver's license before they sign in, just for safety and security. But, you bring up a good point, because that tech moment, that QR code sign-in moment that some people really love, it's like makes it easier to put it in your database. I don't love that moment. I'm old school. I love the sign-in moment where I can't read the signature and I'm like, excuse me, Bob Butterbutt, I can't read what you just wrote.
Donald Duck Mickey at Disney.com.
I'm like, listen, if you don't want me to contact you, I won't. But I do need your legal name, please. And it's a moment of human interaction, I should say, not humanity. It's not humanity. It's a moment of human interaction where it can be a little bit of an icebreaker. And, that's what we have to find, because a lot of people who come, especially for new agents, they don't have referral base that can sustain a full scale business at the beginning of their career, even for a couple of years. So those moments become even more important. So training on those open house capture moments is a big part. But the conviction, to get back to your original question, what is it that gives you conviction? Conviction comes from knowing and being able to defend your knowledge of a particular piece of the process. And if I had it my way, through all the pieces of the process. Know what you know what you don't know. But what you know so well that if you had clients who had parents who were attorneys from out of state, and they wanted to hop on a Zoom and walk through the contract with you, you do not stumble on any of those clauses. That's another thing. And knowing what your true value is. There was a moment when like Zillow leads came out where I swear to you, new licensees really did feel and were convinced by the Zillow salespeople that their job was to open doors. They're like, oh, somebody calls you, you immediately need to respond. You immediately need to go run right over and open the door.
The live transfers, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, we're so much more than door openers. Door opening is a piece, of course, but it can be done by a showing assistant. And, I think if you really want to be an expert in this field, you better understand where your genius is. Like, I solve problems. I never give up. I never give up. I never, ever am the last person to say no. Like, we will draw out a negotiation until it's at the ends of its potential, like life, for sure. I never give up. And if I'm struggling with something, I reach out. I reach out to my attorneys. I reach out to other brokers I trust. Hey, I'm having a difficult like situation. Have you ever had this happen to you? Like, I reach out to a network. So community is really important, but that behind the scenes piece of really making sure that you never give up is something that I don't see with a lot of young agents. They're very quick to let the clients drive the process, and I think that's because they haven't apprenticed, they haven't learned from a pro, they haven't taken the time to do the really hard work of humbling yourself and like realizing that you're new to an industry that basically licenses you and sets you free upon the universe with very little education on how the job of our job is actually done. And you're going to encounter a lot of things you don't know how to handle. So this idea that like people get licensed and all of a sudden they're going to be on $1 million listing and make lots of money and people are going to trust them with their big assets might have been a dream come true for some people on some TV shows, but in reality,
it's a different world. Yeah.
people want to work with people they trust.
That's right. And it really comes down to human. And I mean, I was just on the road and I was saying to you how sick I am of talking about AI out there, but it's like, hey, this is not every carpenter with a hammer does great work. So it's just a tool that we use. And how can you do it to enhance your experience? What is AI good at? Leveraging systems and things like that. But, it really comes down to what are humans good at? Human connection and strategizing and things like that.
Yeah, that's right. And there's, you bring up a really good point because every conference I go to, AI is on the table. And I loved your presentation on AI, by the way. I shared it with my team this morning.
I appreciate that. Did you have, you took notes or did somebody record it? Because, okay.
I did not record it.
I wish somebody, that was a nice room. It was a fun room, a lot of nice people there. I was saying, I think California, that was definitely my, if not my favorite, top 2 favorite events of this year so far that I was at. So,
I love that. Well, I personally felt like that audience could have been more exciting. I told a bad joke and nobody even laughed. It was like,
they did not laugh at all, man. I was saying like they laughed very little.
They were serious.
If anything, they were, but afterwards they were so gracious afterwards and so warm, and they were like, "Thank you so much, that was great." And man, you were so full of energy. And I'm like, you guys were exhausting because everyone was kind of stoic.
I don't know if the audience, if they don't realize that when you're on stage, you really like need that feedback. Like you need people to smile and laugh and clap with you and respond to you and stuff. It feeds you, so sometimes it does feel like you're up there generating your own energy. But I think we did a good job of like getting hyped up before your performance.
I was glad you were there. It was a good time, and we had Kim before. That was good. It was a good little group in there. We had a good time.
Yeah, that was good. But to come back to your AI point, I just want to say this really important thing that I hope that buyers and sellers understand, because I'm starting to get, like I said, these emails that are clearly generated by AI. Okay. It's like buyers and sellers are going in, typing in a question into ChatGPT and like popping up with some obscure, obtuse concerns and stuff. And I'm like, okay, they're in real estate. There is accountability. It might not be a perfect system. Okay. But the reality is brokers have licenses. They're supposed to oversee the agents. And if somebody does really does something bad, unethical, messed up, there are these paths to accountability.
Yeah.
AI has no accountability. It can give you horrible and incorrect advice. And you have no one to blame if you take that advice over your agent's advice. And I've heard agents complaining that they now feel like even with their own clients, that the clients are generating these emails and putting them on the defensive like that. I would just say, if I was a customer, if I was a consumer looking for somebody to help me with one of these purchases that I might make only 4 times in my life, millions of dollars of asset, I would trust an expert over a robot that is in development a million times over. Maybe it will get there. Like I watched that Tucker Carlson, Sam Altman interview. It was creepy. Did you see it?
No.
Okay, so Sam Altman is the guy at the top of OpenAI, ChatGPT.
Okay.
And Tucker Carlson said, "Do you believe in God?" And he was like, and he goes, "Okay, so who's determining what the robot will stop at in terms of like morality? Like if you type in like, oh, I want to commit a big crime or do, damage to someone or create a
Yeah.
nuclear weapon or something, like where does the buck stop as far as morality or what we can expect from that chat GPT?" And he's like, "Well, I have a committee for that, but honestly, it kind of like actually I can override the committee. So it kind of stops with me." It's like, okay. So unless you're planning on suing Sam Altman for bad real estate advice, just know that there is really no moral or ethical barometer built into the platform. That's what I got
Mhm.
from it.
Yeah. Mm.
And in real estate, despite all the bad headlines, despite the negative news, despite the lawsuits, most agents, and I mean most, like probably 95% of agents I know, work so hard for their clients. They have their clients' best interests in mind. They can't sleep at night when their clients are upset. They go through the process emotionally with their clients. And it is there's an amount of emotional impact on agents from the experience that is something a robot can never give you. It doesn't care if you win or lose. It doesn't win or lose with you. But with agents, you know that your victory is a shared victory. And that's really important when you have an advocate.
Sure.
Not even an attorney won't give you that. An attorney's not going to answer your crying phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday because you're freaking out that maybe you shouldn't sell your house after all. An attorney is going to bill you. Cheers. So I'm just saying, like, it's really important for us to communicate right now. I said, plant the seeds of your irreplaceability right now with your clients. Like, make sure they know how much you are on their side in a way that a robot can never be. And to me, the value of humans is in that emotional
Sure.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really is what I mean. That really is what it is. And we don't ever want to, and I mentioned it in California that people think we're in a service business. We're really in the experience business. It's about
I love
giving
that
someone
you
a
said
great experience, And I
that.
mean, you mentioned before you mentioned before how these people are watching these TV shows. What about your TV show? Tell us about that.
I
What,
did have
what
a show.
that was a cool thing. It
I
was
had
like,
a
I
TV
like
show.
the name of it. My town's just not into me. Is
My
that what it
city's
was?
just not that into me. Yeah, it was on FYI. I think there are still old episodes on YouTube. So the concept was, I guess there was this uh, survey that was done where people would answer certain questions about things they wanted out of lifestyle or out of a city, and then this algorithm popped out a few options for them. So it was not my concept at all, but they wanted somebody like a young Barbara Corcoran. They wanted a broker who could travel
Okay.
throughout the United States and give buyers guidance on what to look for and how to make maybe a change with the city that they're in. So it was called My City's Just Not That Into Me. It was supposed to be kind of a reality and American city exploration type show. It did not get a second season.
Oh, okay. Okay.
When I watched the show, I'm like, it didn't. What was left on the editorial floor, on the cutting room floor, were the stories of the people. Like they had some great stories. There just wasn't enough time in a 30-minute episode that had sponsorships and commercials and stuff like that. It ends up being like maybe 18 minutes of actual content.
Sure.
And they were just trying to pack too much in. And then, from like a production point of view, they made it very formulaic. So I had to like say certain things, even though a lot of conversation was happening very organically. As you can see, I can talk for hours and not shut up, right? But it ended up being like, okay, now you're going to go to this city and then you're going to call me, okay?
Yeah, sure.
So it didn't really work.
That's all these real estate shows. People don't realize it's a lot of it is like kind of, once the producers start, let's make it more interesting and more scripting and let's stage some things. And
yeah. I mean, I've done other shows. I did $1 Million Listing. $1 Million Listing was a real transaction. I was actually in escrow on
yeah,
this transaction, but it is filmed chronologically in reverse. So the actual negotiations did not happen at the agency's
No,
office.
of course not. Yeah.
So I had to go over there and film. I had just worked out. When I look at the camera was like behind me, you could see my hair is all sweaty in the back. I'm like, leave it to me to go on like a big show like that and not even like have my hair done. Oh my God, whatever.
When did you write your book too? Like you have, I mean, you've got that book, Break Up with Your Rental. That's kind of a bold title. I mean, think about it. It's a, what's the inspiration behind that? And how does that resonate today with the affordability challenges, do you think, with today's people?
Well, affordability is really overused, I think, because a very smart lady, Gretchen Pearson, once told me, buy what you can, where you can, when you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we tend to spend a lot of money on stuff we don't really need. Break Up with Your Rental is the subhead is the professional woman's guide to building wealth through real estate. And it was inspired by my own experience, but the experience of many of my clients too, who were single women who waited until much later in their life to get started on their real estate journey. And, real estate to me is one of those last places where if you don't come from legacy money or you don't have parents who are helping you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're like me and you kind of do it yourself, you kind of start from scratch, then you need to know how to get in, how to get your foot in. What are the options? Like what's an FHA, like even something as basic as taking an FHA loan on a fourplex so that all the other units can pay your mortgage for you. So you just eliminate your rent. That's a savings, and then on the West Coast, we appreciate, on the East Coast, cash flow, West Coast, you appreciate. So here, you can own a property for 4 or 5 years and end up netting $200,000 or $300,000 or more, depending on improvements you do
That's
to
like
it.
New York. Yeah, New York was similar. You don't make not a lot of cash flow rate, but
I mean, you're not going to make that just saving pennies from your paycheck.
True.
Like that's why this most disturbing new information of a nation of renters, and you're going to love it. You're not going to own anything and you're going to love it. It's the subscription based model. Rent is a subscription, like the subscriptions we pay to everything else. And there are many, many hedge funds and private equity companies, and they are highly invested in real estate, while a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines going, well, I'm just waiting for the interest rates to drop one more point or whatever. It's not the moment for that. Like, we have to get out of this mindset. There's a reason why homeownership is the American dream. And even if our grandparents didn't exploit it the way we can, like my grandparents bought their house and literally stayed in it for the whole 30 years of their loan, right? Like, I wouldn't do that, right? I'm going to probably every couple of years take my money out and buy something different or change my direction investment wise. But just having the flexibility to do it, but also the psychological power that having your own piece of America does to you as far as your values. This is scientific. This is scientific, like how much you care about your neighborhood, the quality of the local schools, your involvement in safety and crime on your block, like things that are just intrinsic values of home ownership will be lost to a generation of renters who buy what BlackRock is selling them. Like, I can't with it. It's something that for me feels like a last hope for people who feel like there's no other way for them to get out of the poverty cycle. And there's so much opportunity. So I never want anybody to think there's not. And that's why I wrote the book. It's like, get in where you fit in. Here are a bunch of different ways you can get in.
Sure. And sometimes people say, oh, it's too expensive. And sometimes you can be, I mean, I know in New York City, it's very difficult sometimes for people to achieve home ownership, but I mean, hey, there's other places where you can invest in real estate and accumulate wealth. And I appreciate that you're exposing people to that.
And even if you can't afford to buy, which is one of the things that I talk about in the book, is even if you can't afford to buy in the place you want to live, like say Manhattan's too expensive for you, you can still buy an investment property in Cincinnati, Ohio that nets you $1,000 or $1,500 every month that you could then apply to your rent in Manhattan. Like there's still ways to use it to your advantage, even if you can't qualify to buy where you live. And I've heard these objections, like, well, what if I move, or what if I get married? That was one.
All the
And I'm
what ifs.
like, if you do, then you'll have this asset that you can leverage. You can rent it out. You can take a home equity line of credit and use that toward your down payment for your next thing. You can improve it. You can flip it. You can whatever. It's still this very valuable thing you have to help contribute to your future dream life. And the earlier you get started, the better. Like, when Sex and the City was on, which I know is dating me, but whatever. When Sex and the City was on, even like my friends who were semi-broke friends were finding ways to get Louboutins. Okay. I'm like, why are you buying Louboutins? Like,
semi-broke. That's a great term.
Nobody cares. You know how much money how much it costs to get a manicure and a pedicure? Like, keep it up regularly. It's hundreds of dollars a month. It's hundreds of dollars a month. Botox, guess what? You might get Botox and it works, you like it. You're like, oh, look, I don't have wrinkles. At a certain point, like I'm 48, just turned 48. And I'm like, I'm over it. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to give any more money to the failing enterprise of reversing aging. It's not going to happen. I would rather buy another income property and spend $1,000 a month fixing it up or getting it profitable or doing something like that. It's the vanity stuff. It's the stuff that we buy that we don't need. It's the expensive stuff that women fall for, that can confuse them into thinking either there's somebody that's going to save you, there's nobody that's going to save you, or that, you're going to, that somehow this sustainability of your income moving forward is not in your hands. It is in your hands. It's in every perfume you buy. It's in every shoe you buy. It's in every Botox injection. It's all, that's where the money is to buy it properly.
Yeah. And, it's in Florida, and I'm sure I know over there in LA too, maybe worse, is kind of how the energy and what gets poured into these aesthetic kind of things, and how much focused people are on looking better and anti-aging and all that stuff. And I would say, I'm like, man, it's too bad these things don't work on their personalities.
Well, you make a really good point. I think people have every right to feel good about themselves. I'm just saying, if your priority is financial stability, then focusing your energy in a different place, it might, benefit you in a different type of way. Okay. So no shade on anybody who does.
But
I will say you don't have the money.
Buy a place in Ohio and have the tenants paying for your Botox.
Right. Right. There you go. You just supplement your anti-aging. That's a great point. Yes, that. But
have somebody else pay it for you. Say how much, how many of these small little investment properties do I need to own in order to be able to afford this vehicle or these bags or this,
Right.
That's a good way. It's always tying your investment income to things that people actually want is a thing. This isn't just theory for you. You own property. I mean, I know you own property here in Florida.
I do.
Property and stuff like that. So this is something that you're speaking of. And so this book, it's not just a book about, hey, ghosting your landlord, right? It's just some real solid financial strategies around real estate investing.
I mean, I hope people find it inspiring and useful. It's written in a very easy to read way. Like, I should probably make a new edition that has more specifics in it.
How long did you write it?
I wrote it in 2018.
Okay. So that's pretty. That's relevant.
I mean, it's the tenets of it are still very relevant. But if somebody wanted to go like a level deeper, there's more that could be said. But this book is really written for people who maybe think they can't do it, to get them off the sidelines. And I got a text message. I'll tell you what, I got a message on my birthday from somebody on Instagram who said, I broke up with my rental. I'm a single mom. I broke up with my rental because of your book. And I just bought my first investment property or something like that. And, even if it's only 5 people who ever feel that way, besides the people who are in the stories, I feel like that's my contribution. Like, this for me is my story. It's my legacy work too. I feel so committed to getting people from one mindset into one that is more productive. And I'm always learning too. I mean, I am a constant student. I'm at Harvard right now. I'm learning. I'm in the Graduate School of Design.
You're at Harvard now?
Yeah, not this second. I'm not there. second, but I'm in a Harvard program right now in this
Cool.
graduate school of design called, it's the Advanced Management program for real estate. So it's fascinating to see. It's AMDP is the name of it. You guys should look it up. It's a great program. You meet world leaders in real estate and development. There are people from Saudi Arabia, Russia, Georgia. Like such an interesting group of people from all over the world. Some of them have like really amazing projects that they're working on. It's just an expansion kind of platform, but it gets really in the weeds on investment, like IRR and spreadsheets and stuff that we don't use every day in just residential real estate. So I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, and this is a very high level of like getting into it. But my point is, there's always room to learn. There's always room to learn and become more of an expert in the things that you love. I've also really enjoyed the Aspire Wealth, that platform. Aspire is like a traveling tour, right? Like Aspire Tour brings Andrew Cordell and Eddie Wilson on stage, and they talk about owning your own business, which all real estate agents truly do. And if we approached it like that, like I do, but a lot of people maybe could get even more into that mindset of creating their empire, right?
Moving from that left side of the cash flow quadrant to the other. And that's really the stuff. I mean, I would say like, I'm like, man, I'm so sick of talking about AI, and people are like, well, what do you talk about? I'm like, leadership and business building principles, and and authenticity, and kind of customer service and things like that. That's my favorite stuff.
You said it when we were on site at the conference. You said, I love being in a room with other entrepreneurs. That's
it. Yeah.
And it is true. It's like finding people who are doing what you're doing, but even better, or, more successfully, or, people who have something to offer you that you haven't thought of before. Just getting in different rooms and learning is like, honestly, it is my Botox.
You can learn from anybody. There's that guy over there in Santa Monica Pier that's like got that sign out there that says, I need money for weed. And that guy, I'm pretty sure he makes more money than I do. I mean, it's just, I watched that guy, in 30 minutes make $200. It's like,
oh, wow.
Right. I mean, over in Santa Monica Pier, that guy holding up that.
Well, I guess that's a testament to truth in advertising, or authenticity in advertising.
I want to be like, hey man, do you have access to an internet connection? I want to know more about what you're doing. Like, let's find out how that works. I always say,
did you go up to him and say that?
No, I didn't, but I was thinking it, but this is years ago that I saw him. I was only in San Diego this trip. I didn't get out of there, but I will be back to California. I kept saying, I'm like, man, it's so good to be back in California. I love this place. It's been a long time since I've been here. And so many people are like, well, it's not the same as it used to be. And I'm like, I don't know about the politics. I'm just talking about the tacos and the people and the vibe, man. Like,
amazing.
Cool, Yeah, listen, I love the food in California. I love the land. The people are great. Especially like down there in San Diego. It's probably my favorite place, but I want to go back. I'm going to drive up. I want to drive up from San Diego. Last time I drove from Venice up to Monterey Bay, and this time I want to go from San Diego probably up to like Santa Monica, Malibu, and then maybe into wine country and stuff. Maybe I'll take like a nice day.
Go to Healdsburg. It's so beautiful.
I'll definitely
that's the Gilmore Girls town of the North. Like, it's Stars Hollow of the North. It has a gazebo in the middle of the town. It's got like little boutique hotels and wineries that you can go do tastings at. It's like so amazing. And the Russian River is there, and it's very warm. The water in California is not known for being warm. So it's like a lot of things you can look at.
We can only swim in the ocean like for 2 months out of the year. And it's like in Florida, people, they think I'm crazy because I go swimming in the wintertime. They're like, isn't the water cold? And I'm like, this is what it's like in August in New York. So I'm
totally.
Okay.
I know, because I'm from the East Coast too. Like you could only go really to anywhere. Like, I had to drive, of course, because we were from Pennsylvania. So we had to go to like Virginia Beach or Maryland, Ocean City, Maryland, or whatever. And you could really only really enjoy the warmth of the water in like August. And now I think compared to like Florida water, it's probably still freezing.
I'll take Palm Beach, man. I mean, I was at the beach yesterday. I came back. I went to the beach the next day. It was good stuff. We had a little party. It was a lot of fun. But hopefully we connect when you come here. That'd be. I know you said you have your mom down in Boca. Like we've got some stuff going on, right? So you're all over.
Yeah, I'm all over, but LA is my home base. Florida is exciting, and we're going to be in expansion mode. I do go over there frequently to like check on things. Heather's got it locked down. She's got a lot of big ideas, and we're going to start executing them very
That's
soon.
awesome.
Add more agents to the team, do more trainings. Our new studios have like podcast studios and content creation, and it's a whole different exciting trip that we're doing in Orlando. So
I love what you got going on. I mean, I'd love to take a visit and check it out. I mean, like, so when you think about the future, where do you see the future of boutique brokerages like Acme versus the big box brands?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, my son, when just to give you a little analogy, my son, when I put him in soccer, he was like 4, 5, like his whole team was running that way. And then my son is over here picking flowers. Okay. He's over here on the other side of the field, not caring what these people are doing, just picking some flowers, enjoying his moment in the field. And I feel like that sometimes, you know, like as things go more corporate, as people start to believe that maybe, you know, produce, I don't know. When I see it, I'm like, I like choice. I like choices. I like marketing that doesn't look like everybody else's. I like, you know, the constant creation of newness that gives my soul power, you know? So I think boutique brokerages do have an uphill climb. We have to connect we have to create the networks that truly work, the mechanisms that work against if there is this coagulation of, like, for example, I'll just be explicit. Like if Compass, for example, in its acquisition of Anywhere, decides to make it policy that all of their listings for that entire whole big entity can be off the market for, you know, before anybody else's clients can see them, then Houston, we have a problem. And, you know, I predict that they're going to issue something saying, listen, if you guys don't want to be part of us, that's fine. You can pay $20 a month for membership. And then, you know, they'll have some subscription model for that as well. We have challenges we're going to have to deal with. But at the end of the day, just going back to the Parisian baguette experience, I do think the cream.
I love that analogy, by the way.
Thank you. I do think the cream will rise to the top. And, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what they say, this is a people business. Our AI tools can do, like you said, data analysis. Our AI tools can help us identify properties that could be good for renovation. It can do certain things. It can draft up certain things. But if you actually read what AI generates when it generates an ebook, if you actually read the, you know, AI generated Instagram posts, you know, a human didn't write it, and it has much less impact. Our voices are going to become more important. And I would just encourage people in our industry to use them. You know, we have to be more vocal about our value, of course, but make more human connections and not be the person in the open house that goes, hi, I'm Courtney, nice to meet you, and be the person who has something of value to offer that AI can't, you know? And I really think the boutique agencies will still have a solid amount of people who come to them through referral, people who don't want that experience, who want their marketing to stand out. But do we have to fight harder? Yes. And I'm like the little engine that could. That's how I feel. I've been fighting uphill my entire life, and owning Acme has been no different. It's an emotional roller coaster being a broker because you train and you invest in people and then they leave you and it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there is a human part of owning a business that I can't take myself out of. It's the IKEA effect for brokerages. Like I built it and I have add so much value to it. But our job now is to make sure people know our name. So visibility, you know, making sure that our agents retain their quality, which I know they will and do, and only bringing on people who are truly committed to that. So we don't take everybody who comes to us. We're very, you know, I don't do recruitment, but the people who are referred to us, you know, we make sure that they're like experts in their brains at something else already. They come to us from another business. They understand what it's going to take, what kind of commitment and learning it's going to take, and they're down. So like making sure that we continue to have that high quality representation. And I think that the cream will rise to the top. I think we're going to be okay, but it's going to be an uphill battle. Visibility being number one, like making sure we're showing up on Google Chats and Perplexity and all that shit.
there's something I think everything kind of repeats itself and like comes back around, so I think it's like this wave of it's of like full service smaller teams, Navy SEALs, to then the big boxes, then to the virtual limited service, full service, all these different things. But
it's always been there though. It's always been there though. And there's this like one like
where are people shining the light,
there are going to be people who try to capitalize on agents moment right now of really no PR representation. Like we just don't have advocacy in the public eye. I'm writing as many op-eds as I can. I'm like writing op-eds, I'm doing interviews, I'm doing as much as I can personally. We all need to do that. I love the site Quoted, QWOTED. Quoted is like help a reporter out on steroids. You can directly pitch to people who write on real estate. You can see the different news articles that are coming out where they need to talk to agents, and you can try and get in there that way. But I will say this one other thing. Sorry, just a side note. I noticed from being on Quoted that journalists come out with a story they want to sell, right? And then they're looking for agents to feed them that line. And I'm like, you don't even know what I sometimes write back to the journalists, like what you're saying right now is actually not true. Or what you're saying right now is a narrative that any agent that says this is true is probably not an expert, because what you're saying right now makes no sense. And so I think we all need to be responsible for holding our media accountable, for pushing back, for having our voices heard. I don't think getting involved, like people say, get involved at the local level. No, I tried that. It did not work. The bureaucracy doesn't really have a lot of room for voices of dissent, but the public does. Like we can speak to our clients. We can talk to our neighbors, our friends, and obviously not go on a full advocacy spree, but I'm just saying, like, be more vocal about what we do, how we do it, what's important to us, our values, show people who we are, show them how hard we work, and, earn our reputation one way or the other, because this is not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. Visibility, again, being key, but we really need some good PR. We need somebody to come out and say, I have agents' backs, because these are hardworking people. If you have a wife who's an agent, or you are a mom, your mom is an agent, and you'll know like how hard we work. You don't have to convince anybody who has a family member in real estate how hard.
Most of them, and some of them are working hard driving rideshare services too on the side, or bartending. And
that's true. I met my Uber driver in Chula Vista was also a realtor in his card.
I recruited a yellow cab driver one time, and I used to kind of talk to all of them, and I liked them. And my ex-girlfriend's like, you should start a school for cab drivers, because I'm like, listen, so I recruited a cab driver, in his first year in my office, he made 120,000 gross.
Wow, he's a people person.
Still, I know, and I know really, and he's so grateful. And even now, when somebody sends me, Mr. Chris, thank you so much for showing me this business, and I'm like, no problem, So you were driving people around anyway, might as well sell them some houses, right?
Yeah, when I got into real estate, my boss, I was working for the federal government. Okay. I was working for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration Disaster Technical Assistance Center of the Department of Health and Human Services. Say that 10 times fast. I was an editor.
Government organizations, baby.
What's that?
Government organizations.
Yeah, it was intense. The letters were intense. They had an abbreviation. It's called SAMHSA-DTAC. But anyway, my supervisor came over to my desk and she said, Courtney, you are working too efficiently. I'm like, what? And I was making $37,000 a year. This was like in 2004 or something like that.
Sure.
And I was making $37,000 a year, and they had mandated lunch hours, mandated human resources, like fluorescent lights, the whole freaking thing, all these meetings about nothing. Right. And so when I told her, I'm sorry, I'm leaving, I've got a job as an assistant to a top producing real estate agent, which is how I started, and I recommend everyone starts. She gave me a $30 gift card to the grocery store, which I thought was a dig. Like a $20 gift card is like very nice, but $30 means, girl, you're going to be struggling. I'm going to give you an extra 10 because I don't believe in you. That's how I took it. And that first year, I made, I think, $78,000 selling real estate. That first year.
Just commission alone.
commissions and being an assistant, both. But it was like I sold, I think, two places on my own.
Hybrid model, gotcha.
But still, I mean, it was like, this is one of those rare opportunities for agents who really do the work of trying to have a limitless amount of income you can produce. It really has no limit, and it might change. Things might change. Like James Dwiggins again from Next Home said, look, the projections are that agents are going to make less on a per transaction basis, but you're going to make more in terms of quantity. I'm like, great, double the work for half the pay. But whatever. I don't know if that's true. I see a lot of agents defending their value. I've had sellers try to negotiate buyer agent fees down in that process that we now do, and they're not budging. They're like, no, and the sellers cave. So I don't know. I think it depends on the agent and how well they define their value and drawing some lines, because we are doctors. We do. Those of us who have experience really do have experience. Like, we are wounded warriors. We have a lot to say, and we can give good guidance.
Worth their weight in gold every time. Yeah. It's, people don't really realize until sometimes when you get into the business, you're like, oh yeah. Okay. Wow. All right. But more
than alluvial plains, Chris. It's more than alluvial plains.
I know. What let me ask you if and we'll wrap up in a minute. Just got a couple questions for you. But if an agent that's listening now and they can only walk away with one thing that they're getting from you, what should that be?
Oh God, you should have given me that question in advance.
I know you talk about convictions, like the conviction to train daily. I mean, you're big on being a master of what you do,
that is it.
And dedicating what to do. And so, like, what would you want to like impart on somebody that's listening, like an agent that's could be new or somebody that's in the business and struggling, and what help them change their thinking and redirect their focus a bit?
Yeah, well, we actually talked about this on our team call this morning. You need to look at your business like the SIPOC model, right? And you need to look at it and go, where am I failing to connect the dots? Like, am I going out on listings, but I'm not getting the listing? Am I meeting people at open houses, but I'm not getting the buyer meeting? Where is the missing connection happening? And focus in on that thing. Think of new ways to deliver that thing, and see if you can repair that thing, and really use your brains in a scientific way to isolate the variables of your business to create a better system. I'm big on systems, and I hate tech systems, those I don't love, but I'm big on repeated, like knowing the buyer presentation backwards and forwards, knowing the contract backwards and forwards. You can do a training with me. I'll pretend I'm the buyer, or I'll pretend I'm the agent, and I can do it, without even thinking, back of my hand. And so that's because I've repeated it so many times. Again, this is something that comes from acting. So in acting, the act of repetition makes it so that you don't have to think about the words and you can be present in the moment. And I do think that that's something that we have to have as agents. You have to be so fluid with your materials, so fluid with the process, so fluid with your guidance, so fluid with the actual structure of the system. So I meet somebody, they're interested in this house. We set up the buyer meeting. I have a beautiful presentation. By the way, we were exclusive agents before the lawsuits. So I've been doing this for 20 years because that's the way I was trained to do it back in DC. So, we do the buyer meeting. I have the next thing that I do. I set them up on the thing, and then we set up the appointment. And it's just this very by rote thing. Like the system works. So if you're failing to even set up the buyer meetings after the first meeting, or you're failing to nail the listing presentation, you need to figure out what it is you did wrong. Videotape yourself doing it. Pull a colleague that you trust, or somebody who's a great agent but is not your competition, and say, hey, can I run through this with you? And let them give you honest feedback. Be willing to learn. Be willing to go, I think I might suck at this one part. I need to know more about the mortgage interest deduction, or I need to figure out how to better deliver what our value proposition is as a boutique agent. We train on that. So like when we train on our listing presentations, I pretend I'm the seller, and I say, well, why would I choose you over XYZ? And our agents need to be able to say, because this, and this. or we do these things better, or we do this differently and with care and in a way that produces great results. Something, you have to have it practiced. You have to be able to repeat it forwards and backwards. You need to know your unique value proposition. But most importantly, if you don't identify where you're failing to connect, then all the marketing in the world is not going to save you.
That's
all
right.
of it's going to save you.
You're just marketing. You're
barking at the wall or whatever, howling at the moon.
Yeah,
That's what we do, though.
You start marketing something that doesn't make sense when you don't know what you're doing. And yeah, that's always a funny thing. So yeah, invest in yourself, right?
You have to invest in your own idea of what being an expert in this means. That's where the conviction comes from.
Yeah. How do you show up? Who are you in all this? How do you occur as an agent in your world? And how do you want people to remember you? If you were flying a wall and you were listening to someone sing your praises and say how great you were, what kinds of things are they saying about you? And now how can you reverse engineer that and cause that to happen in the real world? I think you've done that. You've done that with your personal business. You've done that with ACME. And it shows. By the way, if nobody knows you, they pop you into Google, they're going to see you've got just 5-star interviews kind of like overflowing everywhere. That's cool. I like to finish sometimes. I think this will be fun to do with you because we're kind of Northeasterners. We call it the rapid fire round. I'm going to hit you with a few questions and quick questions and just see what your answers are. And I think it's a lot of fun.
I'm ready.
Ready. Coffee or cocktails when closing a deal?
Coffee.
Or both, just different times of day. So coffee.
No, not both. Don't mix. Espresso martinis are a no-go.
I got. So if ACME had a theme song, what would it be? Just tell me it's not the Friends theme song.
Huh? It'd be I don't know.
Okay. What's one thing you wish every real estate agent would stop doing immediately?
Oh my God, using ChatGPT to write their listing descriptions.
Using ChatGPT to write their listing descriptions is a great one. So and then LA traffic versus Florida humidity, which is the bigger deal killer?
LA traffic.
Sucks over there.
I'll still think about that theme song, man. I don't know. I don't know, but something 70s sitcom came up for me, but I don't know. We should have one. I'll get back to you on that. I need to think about that.
Fun. Well, I mean, thank you so much for popping on today. And this is like, we normally don't go this long, but it was so fun. There's so much to talk about. We'll probably have to do it again live, man. But maybe we'll have you on Local Unlocked one time when you're in town.
That'd be great.
But thanks. Thanks for reminding us. Thanks for sharing so much wisdom with us, really. And you've got a lot to offer. And by the way, you're pretty easy to get in contact with. So we're here on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and anybody can just send you a message. Is there anywhere in particular you'd like to send someone that?
You know what? I need more followers on Instagram. So, but I'm really proud of my Substack as well. So I'm thecleanclose.substack.com. Those are for like longer form opinion pieces. And then at The Clean Close on Instagram. My company, ACME Real Estate, is at ACME Real Estate on Instagram. And I'd love to have a few more followers. That'd be great.
Cool. So I'll put your Instagram link in Facebook and YouTube in the comments. You'll see it there. So then people could just kind of click on it and follow you. But that'd be awesome. And I'm terrible with that social media stuff. But here we are. Here we go. But Courtney, redefining real estate and reminding us that conviction isn't just something you have, it's something you train. So thanks for being here and dropping all that wisdom. We'll see you out there.
My pleasure. Nice to see you again.
Likewise. Cheers.
All right. Bye.